Originally, this was an atheist channel. I actually created the Armored Skeptic character just so that I could debate creationists. I had just come out of religion and I was using the character to work all this new stuff out in my head. And I know this, some of you miss the Skeptic character, but that guy died saving a bus full of orphans. But then at the funeral, all of the Skeptic clones cried their salty, salty tears directly onto his grave, which made him come back to life as a baby named Will Skepti. Reserved copyright TM. But basically, I used to always have people sending me creationist videos to debunk, and hands down, the main source for these videos was Prager U. Now, if you weren't aware, Prager U is a fake internet university that's run by an out-of-touch boomer. And even though that seemed perfect, I'd always let Prager U slip under my radar. Their creationist videos didn't really bother me that much. It just seemed like the same boilerplate crap that you see from every other neoconservative Judeo-Christian media outlet. And I mean, this was a slightly more innocent time back then. I saw the Armored Skeptic as a debate channel. And call me idealistic, but I kind of saw it as a way to convince other creationists to change their mind the way that I had. And the thing about Prager U is, even though they market themselves as an intellectual outlet, their audience doesn't really seem all that open to intellectual debate.
Do you and I share the same goals? If we do, we can disagree and still have a productive discussion. But if we don't share the same goals, then, rhetorically speaking, we're at war, and only one side can win.
They seem a little dug into their beliefs. However, like a Saturday morning cartoon villain, Prager U just released a video completely rejecting the Enlightenment.
Modern science, medicine, political freedom, the market economy, all of them, we're told, are the result of the Enlightenment. A moment in history when philosophers suddenly overthrew religious dogma and tradition and replaced it with human reason. So why give the Enlightenment all the credit? Because it doesn't look good to admit that the best and most important parts of modernity were given to us by individuals who nearly all held conservative religious and political beliefs.
What?
But this Enlightenment view is not only wrong, it's dangerous.
The Enlightenment era is where we got our modern concepts of logic, reason, science, skepticism.
Human reason, when cut loose from the constraints imposed by history, tradition, and experience, produces a lot of crazy notions.
Yes, the video is really bad. Yes, it's really ironic that they're using intellectualism to disparage intellectualism.
The abstract Enlightenment philosophy of Jean-Jacques Rousseau quickly pulled down the French state, leading to the French Revolution, the Reign of Terror, and the Napoleonic Wars. Millions died as Napoleon's armies sought to rebuild every government in Europe in light of the one correct political theory he believed was permitted by Enlightenment philosophy.
But the thing is, I might have let this video slip under my radar as well. Except
Napoleon Bonaparte was the most famous man of the 19th century. To Europe, Napoleon brought the best fruits of the French Revolution, concepts of equality and meritocracy.
right at the end of the video.
But these new dogmas deserve to be greeted with some of that old Anglo-Scottish skepticism.
And that really... That's really triggering my skepti senses. But before we get started, a word from our sponsor, Raycon. Raycon was co-founded by Ray J and has the backing of several big names in the industry, such as Snoop Dogg and Brandy. I was just out with Snoop for dinner the other night, and I was like, Snoop, I am itching to be serenaded by a queen. And Snoop was like, hey baby, you wanna tickle those ears? Check out these new earbuds, they'll do the trick. And then we listened to the newest Mariah Carey track while all of our girlfriends ate ice cream with us. I've been using these E25s for a while now, and I've been very happy with them. Everything is magnetic, so the earbuds just pop right into place and automatically charge. The case is hinged, so it's easy to handle, and the case has its own battery that allows you to charge the earbuds 4 times in a single charge. And then you can plug the case into a USB to charge the whole unit. And their latest model is their best yet, with more bass, 6 hours of continuous playtime, and a more compact design that comes in a variety of size options to give you the perfect noise isolating fit. I'm always listening to music, whether I'm working out, writing a script, or hiking through the woods. A good beat really motivates me and keeps me focused. And the E25s come in a bunch of fun new colors. Of course I got the black ones, but they're so snug and tight that I keep forgetting that I'm even wearing them. And they're super easy to use. After you've paired them to your device, all you gotta do is take them out of the case, stick them in your ear, and you're listening to your favorite music. Something to talk about. How about love? And the best part is that you get like the same high quality sound as premium headphones, but for like half the price. And I'm here to make them even cheaper for you today. All you gotta do is click that link in the description below. Go to buyraycon.com/skeptic to get 15% off of your purchase. Look, the term skeptic has already been usurped by like a million different special interest groups within the last few years. This whole thing pisses me off enough as it is. 5 or 6 years ago, skeptic just meant atheist, and then within a year, skeptic all of a sudden meant anti-social justice warrior. A bunch of the skeptics turned out to be neocons in disguise. Okay, neocons, I want my word back, okay? Please. I mean, if you tell me that you're a skeptic that believes in God, I'm like, okay. But if you tell me that you use skepticism to defend, validate, and gatekeep based on the rules set up by the Bible, I'm like, no, that's not skepticism. So I decided to check out a bunch of Prager U's other content. They're straight up anti-intellectual propaganda. Prager U does admit right on their website that they're not a real university, but that doesn't stop them from presenting themselves as an intellectual outlet, which is why it's so confusing that they made an anti-enlightenment video.
Long before the Enlightenment, tradition-bound English kings sponsored path-breaking scientific institutions, such as the Royal College of Physicians, founded in 1518, and the Royal Society of London, founded in 1660.
Right as I started working on the script for this video, Samantha Bee, formerly of The Daily Show, released a sketch from her fake comedy show. Fake news show, sorry.
Prager U is actually dangerous. They're reaching a new, younger audience with bull conservative propaganda.
She released a sketch from her show about Prager U, and it was just perfect. And by perfect, I mean pretty awful.
One growing conservative outlet is using colorful graphics and social media to appeal to a new generation. But don't worry, their videos are very normal.
Murder. Is murder wrong? Is it evil? How do you know?
One of the worst things about Prager U is how divisive they are, reinforcing an us versus them mentality, ensuring that a future generation of useful idiots will perpetuate the fake war between neoliberals and neoconservatives. And instead of trying to challenge that conditioning and actually reach Prager U's young audience, Samantha Bee's video is just the same divisive shit.
They have been funded by GOP mega donors, and their videos are specifically aimed at middle school and high school children. They trick kids into thinking their videos are educational, even though Prager U is as much of a real college as Monsters University.
Sure, on the surface it appears as if Samantha is exposing Prager U.
Even worse, those videos get billions of views, the same way a lot of YouTube channels do by producing short, fun videos. The site's videos can present some truly batshit ideas.
If sex doesn't mean anything, why would any woman feel violated by an uninvited touch?
When Planned Parenthood says it's devoted to women's reproductive rights, what it means is it's devoted to aborting as many babies as possible.
But she never really addresses anything that he actually says. She presents it like she's doing this out of concern for his young audience. But Samantha, I want you to step back for a second and look at this through his audience's eyes and tell me how you think a young audience would respond to the way that you're talking down to them.
Our kids are getting worse. They just want to fart and curse.
She is right that Prager U is propagandizing and fear-mongering to a young crowd, but complaining that conservatives are trying to convert more conservatives is redundant. Yes, some of their opinions are hateful, some of their opinions are ignorant, and some of the ideas they push are offensive. But as hard as this is going to be for you to swallow, you need to learn to look past some of these surface level differences. To a young fan of Prager U, they'll just see Samantha Bee's video as a victory for Prager U. In their eyes, they've just managed to trigger one more liberal snowflake into freaking out over traditional values. If you're a member of Dennis Prager's audience, okay, he puts on a friendly smile and acts as if he's equipping you with knowledge to help reinforce your traditional worldview. But the fact is, he doesn't care about you. He isn't helping you. He's hurting you. Prager U does not enlighten their audience. They do not give their audience the tools of discernment and skepticism. No, they actively disarm their audience and teach them to embrace ignorance. They want their audience to bury their heads in the sand so that they'll ignore all of our shared issues. With Prager U, there's a lot to make fun of. Dennis Prager is the mastermind behind Prager U, but he often invites guests to speak on his channel.
Was Jesus a socialist? Socialism is the concentration of power into the hands of government elites to achieve central planning of the economy and the radical redistribution of wealth. Jesus never called for any of that.
Women, here's a revolutionary idea. Date with a purpose. What purpose? Getting married. Whoa, am I moving too fast for you?
Some of them are pretty much cartoon characters.
There are no shortcuts. There are no hacks. If you want to take the easy road, I promise you, it's longer and more painful than the hard road. I'm Jocko Willink.
The dude's name is literally Jocko, including resident big brain neoconservative warmonger Ben Shapiro.
Everyone's a victim, except of course straight white males. It's okay to punch Nazis. These are facts, and facts don't care about your feelings.
But he's also done a bunch of interviews with Dave Rubin, my favorite of which he basically calls Dave Rubin a useful idiot.
I want you to continue to say you're a liberal because you're of great use to good values.
Well, don't worry, I'm not doing it for your use of me. I'm doing it for myself.
Completely outing Rubin as a shill.
You are valuable in the best sense of the word.
It was so fucking beautiful. And then there's Dennis Prager's fireside chats, which are borderline unwatchable.
Hello, everybody. I'm Dennis Prager. This is my home, my fire, and my dog. That's pretty much it. My home, my fire, my dog. It's the fireside chat. I have this with you every week. It's a chance to have as utterly 100% unscripted. There's no, what do you call it, teleprompter. I'm not reading from anything. I am just, as it were, sharing thoughts about life with you. So thanks for watching.
Who are these even for? And what would a cut-rate, internet-based neoconservative outlet be without their own pretty boy Paul Joseph Watson clone?
What's up, guys? What's up, guys? What's up, guys? What's up, guys? This is Will Witt with Prager U.
So you guys are from Prager University?
Prager U. Yep. No, they can't shut us down. It's a public university. Call the cops.
I know I'm out of touch, I just don't really understand why there's such a big market for fuckboys on YouTube, but I would like this trend to end, please! Dennis Prager has also invited a bunch of different big name celebrities to push neoconservative ideas on his channel. For example, I'd like to present to you Hollywood D-lister Owen Benjamin urging conservatives to avoid debating leftists.
When I was growing up, the left was on the fringe, but now they've moved into the mainstream. My issue is with the left because we don't share goals. You need to decide which side you're on.
That does serve as a pretty good example of Prager U being divisive. Obviously, the real reason that Prager U doesn't want their audience to engage with leftists is because they know if they do, that they'd end up just making themselves look like an idiot. Prager U completely fails to properly equip their audience for a debate, and they know that their positions are ridiculously easy to challenge. Now, Prager U has actually deleted the Owen Benjamin video from their library, but not because they don't agree with it anymore. It's more because Owen Benjamin's a crazy person now who drinks turpentine and burns children's books in his backyard.
What's the best thing to do when you're home alone without the family? Rifle through your son's books that may not have sat right with you. It's time for some book burning.
No, I'm not joking.
It's a teaspoon of organic pine turpentine with some white sugar. Draws out the parasites, kills the parasites. The flag of the first dinosaur on the moon, flash, flash, flash. Laughing dinosaurs playing, floating in space, kick. They're playing soccer in space?
But seriously though, it's not a bunch of cringy internet celebrities. Prager U bolsters their fake university by inviting real PhDs onto their show, like the infamous Dr. Jordan B. Peterson.
And now we rack up education-related debt, not so that our children learn to think critically, write clearly, or speak properly.
I've been meaning to make a whole video about Jordan Peterson for a while now. I mean, I made a sloppy video about postmodernism a while back, which was really supposed to be a response to his over-exaggeration of the problems with postmodernism and the postmodernists.
You are currently funding some dangerous people. They are the postmodernists, pushing progressive activism at a college near you.
Anyways, Jordan Peterson's whole brand has become like a message of personal responsibility. Clean your room. It's the whole purpose of his book, his crazy crazy book? Now, this is a really important message that an entire generation of lost boys was thirsty to hear. The most common criticism Peterson has received over his clean your room message is that only helps up to a certain point.
If a young person believes that the problem on the climate is something that needs to be tackled quickly, and they can't wait until they grow up and become prime ministers to do it, do you think collective responsibility overrides individual responsibility in a huge issue like that?
No.
Even right-wing critics of Peterson have pointed this out. What good is a clean room when the world is full of degeneracy? What good is a clean room when the world is burning around you? And the thing is, they're right. Not about the degeneracy, but about Peterson pushing a message of apathy towards grander issues that we face in the world today. Peterson has literally mocked the concept of activism as if it can only be a meaningless display of virtue.
So Dr. Peterson, you talk about this idea of ending unnecessary suffering and this idea of committing one's life to that.
At a minimum. I mean, that's just the obvious thing that you could do.
A lot of students, I think, accept that premise and view what they're doing as trying to eliminate or reduce unnecessary suffering, and they see activism or other forms of direct service as fulfilling that goal. Do you simply disagree with like the content of what they think, the tactic that they are using?
It's too public. You know, there's this old saying from the New Testament about not praying in public, demonstrating how virtuous you are to the world.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, you know, you go out there with a stick and a sign on it that says, I'm against poverty. It's like, yeah, no kidding, man. Really. Like, who's for poverty? No one's for poverty. You want to solve a difficult problem, is you figure out how to get along with your brother, the one you've been fighting with for 5 years, or see if you can staple your family back together. See if you can stop fighting with your girlfriend and have a relationship that lasts for more than 2 weeks. There are things that you should be doing in the confines of your own life that are private and humble, that would constitute genuine accomplishments, and those are the things that you should attend to.
And there's no better video on the entire internet to demonstrate what I mean than this one.
I think generally people have things that are more within their personal purview that are more difficult to deal with and that they're avoiding, and that generally the way they avoid them is by adopting pseudo-moralistic stances on large-scale social issues so that they look good to their friends and their neighbors.
An audience member asks Peterson, if we're stuck at home all day cleaning our room, then how are we ever going to fix any of the problems out in the world?
So what is your advice to young people when you talk about you need to be individually responsible, but when there are things that are so far out of our control, like climate catastrophe, like the precarious job economy, like the economic crisis, what is your answer to
do you
people
think that
who are
you're worse
facing
off
these
than
questions?
you think that you're worse off than your grandparents?
Note that the question is not, is climate change real? The question is, how do we enact change in the world by following your steps? But Peterson doesn't want to answer that question because he knows that if he does, he'll sound retarded.
I think there are different challenges.
Do you think you're worse off than your grandparents?
This is the most useless shit.
The argument, I think, is individual responsibility does not change the climate, does not fix the problem.
Fundamentally, I'm a psychologist. My experience has been that people can do a tremendous amount of good for themselves and for the people who are immediately around them by looking to their own inadequacies and their own flaws and starting to build themselves up as more powerful individuals. And if they're capable of doing that, then they're capable of expanding their career. And if they're capable of expanding their career and their competence, then they're capable of taking their place in the community as effective leaders. And I've never suggested that there's no domain for social action. I'm suggesting that people who don't have their own houses in order should be very careful before they go about reorganizing the world.
Now you might be thinking, this isn't fair. This is supposed to be a video about how bad Prager U is. Well, I wouldn't have even known that this video existed if Prager U hadn't tweeted it, complete with boomer captions.
I think generally people have things that are more within their personal purview that are more difficult to deal with and that they're avoiding, and that generally the way they avoid them is by adopting pseudo-moralistic stances on large-scale social issues so that they look good to their friends and their neighbors.
Prager U uploaded this as a win for climate skepticism. What? And to solidify that Jordan Peterson perfectly encapsulates the values of Prager U,
I want fairness generally means look at me, I'm a nice person.
Dennis Prager invited Jordan Peterson onto his channel to push his message of personal responsibility.
Blaming others for your problems is a complete waste of time. I've learned that there are two fundamental attitudes toward life and its sorrows. Those with the first attitude blame the world. Those with the second ask what they could do differently. Instead of bringing trouble to yourself, your family, and your society, you'll be a positive and reliable force. Your life will still be difficult. You'll still suffer. That's the price of being alive. But maybe you'll become strong enough to accept that burden. Get to work on time. Stop interrupting people. Make peace with your siblings and your parents. The proper way to fix the world isn't to fix the world. There's no reason to assume that you're even up to such a task, but you can fix yourself. You'll do no one any harm by doing so, and in that manner at least, you will make the world a better place.
What they want is for you to go to your room like a good little child and leave all of the running the world business to the rich neo-establishment elites without any of that pesky democracy crap getting in the way. You're not gonna hear that from Samantha Bee or the neoliberal establishment, because the sad truth is, they want the exact same thing. And I know that I can't convert you guys to my side overnight, but I really think that you guys should be on the side that's pro-guns and pro-universal healthcare. It's what Jesus would want. You still get to run around with all your freedom and your guns. The only difference is if you shoot a slug into someone's ass, they get to pull it out without having to go through insurance. It's only fair.